has been sanctioned grants for new girls hostel, expansion of human resource development center, and
मैडम रुक गई ਉੱਥੇ मैडम कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं
yes, over to you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, madam. Thank you, madam, for the nice introduction about me. First of all, the esteemed guest of honor, Professor J.P. Pachauri ji, the other resource person and the means the keynote speaker pertaining to this faculty development program, Dr. T.P. Shashi Kumar ji, Professor Dr. Susila Narang, Principal, again Dr. Tripta Parmar ji, DCDC, Professor Suri, and a very good number of participants from the different institutions and the organization. At the outset, good morning each one of you, and I am very happy that this innovative program is organized in a collaborative mode where the college and the universities are also associated. It is a good sign because I used to emphasize time and again that if there is anything, any means academic activities or any other type of activities organized, certainly we must collaborate with the other institutions to get the the input from the other institutions. So the college has taken that advice in a very serious note. I am very happy, and I congratulate the entire organizing team for such a nice CFDP. And if it is organized at the college level, then certainly it will go in a strong way as a source of motivation to the other colleges as well as the academic institutions. So you deserve the consolation for that. Number two, certainly there would be the participants from the different institution and from the different domain. My advice is that you just give them chances to interact on some topic which are of the emerging nature, or the topic which are associated with the NEP, because NEP is a NEP 2020 is a ambitious project of the central government of India, and we have started the implementation of the NEP 2020. My advice is that if you have the deliberation on that aspect, then certainly that would be very great help to the colleges, because in the colleges a lot of awareness is needed, because I'm sure they are not aware of the many things which the NEP has. And these are such type of platform where you can interact and you can give the input of your college as well as the participants who came from the other colleges, and that will be very useful to each one of them. So that is one thing that I want to suggest you. The second thing that I want to tell, as per the government policy as well as the policy of the under the NEP 2020, we have to sensitize the student for the startup type of activities. Now the time has gone when the students are looking for the government job or for the salary like things. Now we must equip them, we must skill them to go for the self-employed type of activities, because a lot of government policies and the plans, incentives, schemes are there, but the students are not aware of. So it is the duty of the college as well as the college teachers. They must give the platform to the students so that they can think of the startup type of activities, and they can go for the further for the further the development of such type of thinking that they have. The college support is a very important, because in the college is a place where a lot of resources are lying, and they can connect with the other department and the government institution for the translation of this the idea that they have on the basis of their startup kind of things. So this is another thing that I want to tell the entire college people. They must give the proper motivation to the startup type of activities. And last but not the least, the student must be aware, must be make aware rather about the values, culture, Indian knowledge system that we have. In the again, I will go back on the NEP 2020, where a lot of emphasis is given on the Indian knowledge system. And Indian knowledge system is a full of wisdom, is a full of innovation, is a full of space for the research and other kind of activities. So we must start the deliberation on IKS as well, and we must means incorporate at least some unit of the IKS in our entire the course structure that we have. And that the because until unless the student are not aware of the Indian kind of things, regional languages, then we can't expect the holistic development of the student. And certainly the idea of making the strong nation, the Shrestha Bharat, resourceful Bharat will be only dream. So the entire activities we start at the point of colleges, at the point of the means structuring of our course curriculum that we are going to do. With this, once again, I congratulate the entire organizing team at particularly the college that has initiated in this area, in this direction, and has given a lot of input to the will give a lot of input to the fellow college and the participants who came from the different institutions. With this, thanks each one of you, and best of luck. Certainly, such type of kind of things will continue from the end of the other colleges as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Sir, on behalf of all the institutions who have organized this 7 days FDP, I express our sincere gratitude towards Honorable Vice Chancellor, Punjab University Chandigarh, Professor Rajkumar ji, who has spared his precious moments to join us today for inauguration of this 7 days FDP. I assure you, sir, that we will carry forward your message for more interactive deliberations on NEP 2020 and as well as Ek Bharat, Shresth Bharat also. So I must add here that recently we have started this activity on Ek Bharat, Shresth Bharat under the guidance of Dr. Anju Suri ji. She has delivered the inaugural address for our collective collaborative effort in which 5 institutions were included. And I assure you that we will start this series of interactions with your supervision and your consent, so that students as well as the college faculty may be updated with the recent updates in the field of education. Thank you so much, sir, that you have accepted our request and joined us for today's inauguration of 7 days FDP. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, each one of you. Okay, you continue with your means this FDP. Thank you. Good wishes to each one of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Now it's time to invite our next vibrant speaker, Professor Anju Suriji, Dean College Development Council, Punjab University, Chandigarh, for her address. And even though she needs no introduction, but still I would like to add the brief profile of Professor Anju Suriji. Professor Dr. Anju Suriji, Professor, Department of History, is currently working as Dean College Development Council, Punjab University, Chandigarh. She did her graduation and post-graduation from Punjab University, Patiala. She taught the university in BA as well as in MA History and received she was awarded Chancellor's Gold Medal for Academic Excellence by the said university. She received her PhD in 1996. She has been the UGC Junior Research Fellow, and since 1993, she has been into the permanent regular government service in various colleges of Punjab and Chandigarh. She joined Department of History, Punjab University, Chandigarh in the year 2000. Her area of specialization is modern Indian history, with special reference to British paramountcy and social political history of India, including Punjab. She has to her credit 3 research books. She has authored the book entitled The Princely State, British Paramountcy and Internal Administration 1858-1948, a case study of Kapurthala State, published by National Book Organization, New Delhi in 2001. She has authored the book entitled British Paramountcy in Jaipur State in 1818-1905, published by Manak Publications, New Delhi in 2010. Besides, she has co-edited the book entitled History Perspectives 1, published by Unistar Books, Chandigarh in 2010. Professor Anju Suri has contributed about 40 research papers which have been published in journals of national and international repute. 11 students have completed PhD under her guidance, and 7 others are currently pursuing PhD under her supervision. More than a dozen students have completed MPhil research work under her supervision. Professor Suri had been participating in meetings of UGC and UPSC as member of their committees. She has been and is a member of PG and UG Board of Studies in Ancient Indian History and Culture, Central University, Dharamshala, Department of History, MD University, Rohtak, Department of History, Punjab University, Patiala, Department of History, Lovely Professional University, Phagwara. She acted as chairperson of Department of History between 2017 to 2020. She has been a member of Administrative Committee of Students Aid Fund of Punjab University for the session 2018-19. External Executive Board of Research Promotion Committee History, DES and PRCP Chandigarh for 2 years from 2019 to 2021. Editor of Punjab University Research Journal Arts between 2019 and 20. Member of Editorial Board of the journal Virasat published by JRNRV University, Udaipur. So if I go through the list, then it is quite long and it would take too much time. Before taking too much time, I would like to request and invite Professor Anju Suriji, Dean College Development Council, to deliver her address in today's 7 days activity. And now over to Professor Anju Suriji.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sarabjit. I hope I am audible.
Yes, ma'am, of course you are audible.
Okay. Chief Patron Sant Jagjit Singh Lopoji, Patron BB Karamjit Kaur, Managing Director Sardar Bhagirat Singh Gill, Honorable Vice Chancellor Professor Raj Kumar, the Vice Chancellor of Punjab University, Guest of Honor Professor J.P. Pachauri, Vice Chancellor Himalaya University Dehradun, Dr. Tripta Parmar, the Principal and the Convener of Sant Darbara Singh College of Education for Women, Lopo, Dr. Sarabjit Kaur, Principal Guru Ramdas PH College, Jalalabad, Dr. Sushila Narang, Principal Kenway College of Education, Abohar, Professor Harpreet Kaur, Principal Mata Sundari College, University of Delhi. Dear colleagues, research scholars, students, friends, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to all of you. I congratulate the team members and the principal, Dr. Parmar, for organizing this FDP on a very, very pertinent issue. And the topic Vision 2022, a new look towards diversity and inclusion. Education, as we all know, is not learning of facts, but it is the training of mind to think. And this is what this FDP aims at. So it's truly an honor for me to be the part of this particular event. And I congratulate Dr. Sarabjit also because these colleges have already taken the initiative towards uh, the vision of 2022 as has been enshrined in our national education policy. And the first effort, as has been mentioned by Dr. Sarabjit, was made a few days back when we see that she had organized the program along with the college team on Ek Bharat Shresth Bharat. So this is the offshoot of that program, and this will take us all a very long way towards the academic excellence. My sincere gratitude are due to Honorable Vice Chancellor Professor Rajkumar ji, who is and remains the pillar of our strength always as our mentor, teacher, guide, and philosopher. So he has a managerial, skillful eye to see the talent and to see the excellence among the faculty members, the staff, and he forms a wonderful team to work with them. And he is always encouraging. He encourages us to look forward with a positive approach for achieving the academic excellence and for always aiming higher and higher. So thank you, Professor Rajkumar. And I am sure that he must be feeling very happy at the organization of this particular FTP with the joint venture of the colleges. And again, I'm sure that after the program, he's going to call me and, ask me to either invite all of you to Chandigarh in the university to organize such programs, or he may would like to reach out to all of you in your colleges to interact with the teachers and the faculty to again encourage you and also to get the inputs for all of you, from all of you, to make the academic institution of Punjab University a vibrant place of academics. Coming to the topic diversity and inclusion, diversity refers to the visible as well as non-visible characteristic of the person, which may be seen in terms of gender, in terms of dress, in terms of race, in terms of ethnicity, in terms of education, in terms of experience, in terms of one's abilities or disabilities, in terms of neurodiversity, and so on and so forth. So the workplace should be such which should encourage and which should include the people and the employees of the diverse backgrounds. As far as inclusion is concerned, it refers to the creating of such environs which should accommodate the people of the diverse backgrounds and should take into account and consideration their inputs so that their inputs can be integrated, valued, respected in order to make the institution grow, to make the organization grow. So this also refers to the rendering of the equal opportunities of the work to the employees, equal resources, equal opportunities of training, equal job opportunities, and so on and so forth, so that the institution and the employees of the institution should grow simultaneously. They should never feel themselves to be othered. They should not feel themselves to be tokenized, because once this feeling comes in the mind of the employees and the people, so naturally, in that circumstance, it will be very difficult to take the optimum use of the potentiality of the employee, and the employee might suffer from the inferiority complex, or it reduces within him or her the sense of belongingness, and that might also lead to depression. And this all is very, very detrimental to the growth of the employee as well as to the growth of the institution. There are, of course, many benefits of diversity and inclusion program if it is imbibed and if it is followed in any institution, because it highly enhances the productivity, also the prestige of the institute, as well as the performance of the institute, which remain the pillar of the strength for any institution. Yes, there are several ways by which this inclusion of the employees can be taken into account, and they can be encouraged to be into the environment which is culturally very conducive environment for them in the institution. And that is that we must imbibe all the inputs of the employees, and we should not encourage the logocentrism policy, where we see that the fixed words have the fixed meanings. So the meanings do change with time, and we see that many of the words and the expressions, they become obsolete with time. So with the changing time, we should allow also the change in the institution with the inputs of the employees, and all those innovative ideas which lead to the creativity, which lead to the startups, and all the innovative programs which may help in the growth of the institution, as has also been mentioned by Professor Rajkumar in his speech very beautifully about the startups and the innovations that must be encouraged in any institution. And as the leader of our university, he is encouraging a lot the youth, the students, the faculty, the staff, and that is why the university is also growing day by day, with the cooperation of all the college principals, heads of the institutions, and the teachers as well as the students. So one positive thing which I have seen, under his leadership is that not only the one set of the class is being encouraged, but I have seen him, delivering the lectures at many forums within the university and outside the university, where he encourages the students also to come up with the new ideas, and he always gives space to them, to encourage them, and to motivate them to come up with those ideas, and also nourish them and nurture them in the university. So that is what the cultural environment is, which is very, very congenial and very, very comfortable for everyone, in the institution under his leadership. So, regarding this topic, I would say that national education policy has also set a very transformative vision before us, where we see Bharat of 2022. And this calls for the multidisciplinary studies which have been provided by national education policy, and also the multi-model universities which is based on technology and online programs which are being encouraged and which have been envisaged to be just introduced and to become the reality, in all the universities and other institutions, higher institutions, in India. So it calls for the equitable education, it calls for innovations, and it calls for inclusive and equitable education, where there is the removal of all sort of the barriers, and it ensures the participation of all the people alike, as the equal partners, so that they should pursue their aims and the goals and their achievements, though belonging to the diverse backgrounds, but making united efforts for their own progress, for the progress of the institution, and then linked with this is the progress of our country, of course. So, national education policy provides us the number of the opportunities that we can avail of. For example, when we talk about inclusivity, then it is inclusive in the sense that it is encouraging vernaculars and the mother tongue in which the education should be promoted. And also, as Professor Rajkumar has pointed out, it also talks about the people having their roots in our cultural education system, the traditional education system, and to draw all the moral values from that traditional education system, which is intact and which has been, the great strength of all of us in India. Then it also provides opportunities for building personalities, because the focus is on the skill development And we see that on the basis of one's merit, on the basis of one's circumstances, on the basis of one's conditions, and all the opportunities that one can avail. So there is the scheme where you can develop your skills and you can be a self-reliant person yourself. And then if you discontinue the studies for the moment, then there is also the provision to rejoin. You know, this is a scheme of education, and the education remains always open for you, and you can come back. You can leave in between, but you can come back whenever you have the time and your conditions and the other such things, they are better for you, or maybe you wish to pursue the higher aims in your life as far as education is concerned. So online education system is another thing. Affordability is and accessibility of education. Now this is much more than in the previous policies which had been initiated and which had given us the education systems. Also, there is the chance and the opportunity to uh, promote the art, music, yoga, aesthetics, moral values, and so on and so forth. And also the course on nationalism and other such things, which all talk about inclusivity and also the diversity, because the people of diverse backgrounds without any discrimination can avail equally of all these opportunities, because the education now is much more equitable, it is much more inclusive. And again, they can also avail of the opportunity of the science and technology, which is going to become the part in a very elaborative forms in the different institutions, especially in the higher education and so on and so forth. And the dual degree program also is the part of the inclusivity. If we look at very seriously and very with a focused mind, so that also provides us the great opportunity where we can pass 2 degrees, either one at the distance mode and other at the regular mode, etc. And there are the collaborations which are provided for in this education system, where we see that we can collaborate with the foreigners or with the different institutions, the people, and also, you know, within our own country, we can do that to promote education. So in the end, I would like to say that the education and the system which has been envisaged, you know, under National Education Policy 2020, that provides us the vision where we see that education is the passport for our future. It is again the system where we can introspect ourselves and we can better ourselves, and we are encouraged to become better people, better citizens, because after all, education does not mean that we should only be in suited and booted, but it also means that we should look forward with a positive approach, and where we can grow ourselves as well as we can contribute towards the growth of our nation. Thank you very much. And I wish the organizers a very good luck for the success of this FDP, and my congratulations once again to all of you for organizing a wonderful FDP, and I'm sure this will go a long way for setting higher goals and for realizing the vision of Bharat 2022. Thank you very much.
Yes. Over to Dr. Sushila. मैम अपना माइक
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was a great listening to you. I would like to take this opportunity to thank you for giving such a stirring speech you gave us at the this event, that is 7 Days Faculty Development Program, which is a joint venture of SDS College Moga, Guru Ramdas College Jalalabad, and Canby College of Education Abohar. I'm getting messages you have talked that everyone is saying that your presence at this occasion is very much knowledgeable, and they are very greatly impressed by your presenting style. And it was a great pleasure to listen to your wise words and learn so much from it, from your talk. And I take this opportunity to thank you on behalf of our entire team, or I can say entire team of organization and students, those who are participating, faculty members, principals, all are very overwhelmed while listening your speech. And I'm extremely thankful that for your such a creative and awareness speech regarding the event. I would be a I would be a great it would be a great pleasure to invite you once again in future too. And thank you so much, ma'am, for making your time availability from your busy schedule. And I hope we will be looking forward to you in other venture in once again. And with your wise words, we are very anxious to hear your wise word in next venture also. Thank you so much. Thank you so much from bottom of our heart for sparing your valuable time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. As we know that you are on your way to some convocation, still you have afforded time to address her. Now we move forward to the proceedings of our FDP. Now, I take it my prime privilege to welcome and introduce today's guest of honor and the resource person of the first session, Dr. T.P. Sasikumar. Dr. T.P. Sasikumar has worked as the Space Department for 2 decades. He was director at Academic Staff College under University Grants Commission at University of Calicut, and was deputy director at Directorate General of Security, Cabinet Secretariat, New Delhi. Before taking a voluntary retirement in 2009, he opted to be in academics and mentoring youth to create dreams in them and enrich their skills towards nation building. Dr. TPS reached over 600,000 teachers and 1 million students through lectures in professional colleges to schools across the country and the world, redefining learning and teaching towards adaptive entertainment with activity-filled classrooms. Clearly defining goal, and value is what makes his classes memorable. He conducted holiday sessions in Hyderabad called Shiksha Holiday Program, which attracted many engineering students and MNC professionals as they learned life lessons and created high profiles after these interactions. Dr. TPS always gives a different life and learning experience to his students. Many of his students turned into civil services aspirants due to his influence. He also conducts teacher training sessions as he believes that teachers are the ones who make tomorrow's citizens. He teaches them what is effective and effective teaching, educational techniques, etc. Under the Kerala government's Higher Education Council, with Walk with a Scholar, Dr. TPS initiated Mentors Navigation workshop for college teachers and reached out to colleges in whole of Kerala. All the girls CBSE school principals heard Dr. TPS, and as a continuation, he trained almost all teachers from most of the prestigious Indian schools of girls. Dr. TPS believes in physical, emotional, intellectual, social, and spiritual balanced life. He is an innovative, creative, and thought leader and creates spirit in youth. He had a 2-year tenure as management professor in an engineering college under Jawaharlal Nehru Technological University at Hyderabad. He headed an engineering college in Kerala as executive director for a year. He also worked as a consultant for an international school in North Kerala. He is in advisory boards in many of trusts and contributes a great amount in many projects that help the students. Dr. TPS initiated Destination IAS and Mission CSAT for civil services aspirants and is active in motivation and creating basic knowledge for civil service preparation among school and college students. Gyanam at his native is a heritage to accommodate more than 50 students to run short-term holiday residential camps and attracted youth from over 20 countries and ran 30 camps 2014 to 2018, participated over 500. He is always available for all the students from any part of the globe for doubts regarding their subject, life, career, etc. Through personal meetings, phone, email, social media like Facebook, Twitter, and through his website, he writes many informative blogs numbering over 60 for benefits of those who want to learn, acquire knowledge. His passion for life his passion for life learning is an investment for future earning. Live or learn in full employment has made him to the author book like Life Made Simple, Life of Love, Rhythm of Life, Life is to Live, Life Reflections, etc. His books are so close to heart that those who read them will find solutions for all their problems, highly motivated and grievance redressing tips. His articles in periodicals are simple and clear, carrying deeper thoughts within. He could be the reason his book Life and Simple. He was credited as a modern Thirukarulan by the reviewer late Professor Ekavor Narayanan from Delhi. Anyone who wants to listen to his sessions could also get him through his YouTube channels, which has over 400 of his uploads. Most of his feedbacks and interactions are very touching as the students open and cry on stage as they feel he is the soul healing heart close to them. His testimonials and videos on YouTube are testimony on this. He has great interest in films. He was one instrumental for Oman Film Festival. His public talks and spiritual lectures are seen by many and they adore him as spiritual guru. It is unusual to see a man with high intellect and having true scientific analysis teaching Bhagavad Gita and creating discussions across the globe through Skype sessions. His spirit is very active in spirituality and he talks in temples on rituals and bhakti or Vedanta, etc. His interviews are covered by many media TV, including Discovery Channel. Dr. TPS learned Indian heritage by traveling and living with late Brahm Rishi KPC Arjuna, who was an authority in Sanskrit, Veda, Upanishads, um, uh, and Upanishads. So we take pride in being associated with such a learned and also vibrant personality. Now I request Dr. JPS to address the audience as Dr. JP Pachori. Professor JP Pachori is not available for today's event. He is busy with some other engagement. So we apologize on that part and request Dr. TPS to carry on with his address to the audience. Over to Dr. TPS.
Namaskaram. Namaskaram, my sister Tripta. I was thinking I will be with you after an hour or so. Anyway, as always, the Sant Darbara Singh College of Education for Women called me for this program with the kindness of the management, the authorities of the college. And I'm so glad that Punjab University, I was listening to the Vice Chancellor, Professor Rajkumar ji, and the dynamic Anju Suri ji, who gave a beautiful beginning for this program. The theme of the 7 days International Faculty Development Program, as indicated in the flyer, shows about the education, how we could make it more approachable with high quality. How can you have the inclusive practices in teacher education? So I believe that this program is for teacher educators and teacher educate students. So who are looking at education so seriously? We have 28 participants, but except me, nobody is active here. This is one of the biggest problem which I see in Punjab. I keep criticizing all the time. I go around the world for programs. The other day I had Philippine students, 1,000 of them joining, 988 participants. And fortunately, more than the page by page when I scan through, all of them are active with the faces. But here we talk about higher quality education, interaction, right? And you don't see the faces. I kept on telling, I physically wanted to come to your college at least to want to show my face and see whether people are still alive or it's only the computers are alive. Right? I'm not seeing. Sushila was so glad that she has made all the makeup she could show. Anju Suri, you should take it a note from the Punjab University. I've been going around the world, but I see rarely faces. You can listen to all my lectures for Punjab University, this college specifically. I don't see the faces. Right? And how do you make your classrooms active? And this is one of the topic, probably the topic given to me or where I am asked to speak is on the attention deficit and hyperactive disorder, sensory processing disorder, SPD, which I like to call it as sensory integration dysfunctioning. Why is it happening? It's happening because basically the passion is not sustained in the teachers. I'm sure if teachers are great, always you can make the classrooms attractive. Why is it happening? It's happening because it has become a habit. In classrooms, the habits are generated by the teachers in the youngest students' classrooms. What is being heard in most of the LKG, UKG, nursery classrooms? It is not the nursery rhymes, but more than nursery rhymes, one of the repeated dialogue is keep quiet. So teachers make the students to keep quiet. What is the job of a teacher? The job of a teacher is to make students keep quiet. How can you expect when they become teachers tomorrow, when they become a real students, to respond to what is being delivered to them? If the response is not there, reflections are not there, understand, we are talking about NEP, practically take about one of the greatest wisdom which NEP wanted to circulate in India. The teachers' classes are called Vedas, but the reflections of students are called Upanishads. Upanishads are more famous than the Vedas. Upanishads are plenty. That means the reflections back from the students to the teachers is more important than, it is more important. It is not Vedas. Upanishads are more important than the Vedas. And we say Bhagavad Gita is the essence of all the Vedas. Where is Bhagavad Gita? I keep asking, who wrote Bhagavad Gita? It is not Krishna who made Bhagavad Gita. It is Arjuna who made Bhagavad Gita. If there were no questions from Arjuna, Bhagavad Gita would not have been there. So, any knowledge sharing, the knowledge sharing happens only when there are questions from students. The ADHD, the sensory perception becomes active only when children are exposed to that. By birth, it is very, very less. The problems are very less by birth. I'll tell you, my eyes are working because the time of delivery from the dark room in the mother's pregnancy, when I am inside the dark room with full of liquid around me, eyes are never open. Eyesight is not there. But as the time I come out to the world, I am exposed to the largest light around me. My eyes would have been damaged totally and I will become blind. If my eyes are working today, that is because by birth I was blind, and slowly my most powerful indriya called eyes got opened slowly, and then I am able to see the world today. Same is the case with all the other indriyas also. So by birth, all of us have got a sensory disorder. And that sensory disorder comes to the world with a proper working condition where the combination of functioning, connecting together, making them to work together happens because that is how we are all programmed. What is that? In Eastern philosophy, we call manas, mana. What is manas? Manas reflects. What is it reflecting? Reflecting on the inputs and outputs which are coming to me with the sensory organs. That manas is called the software in this body. Probably the buddhi, the intellect is the hardware, memory. The software is that which makes my sensory organs to react to the situations and give sufficient informations into my brain to think, and to my heart. It's a bad word to be used, heart, because it's English, there is no word called heart which is equivalent to manas. Heart is a biological system, but in Eastern philosophy we have got manas. The manas and the buddhi, the memory and the feeling, they have to join together to make my knowledge so powerful. And this is not happening, we call it as disorder, dysfunctioning. Who is responsible for that? Yeah, biologically there can be defects, but more than biological defects, it's all the environment, the small kids, baby parenting, and more so with the teachers who are making them deaf and dumb. Keep quiet, don't talk. Actually, classrooms, I've got a great concept of Grandma Child Care Center, which the age 3 to grade 3, where 3 development happens. One is the language development. Your neurons get maximum number of words so that you become active in learning. And second one is the numerics, the number counting, the distinction of the numbers around you. And if your reading, writing capacity and your communication and the feelings which you can add to that, you can recognize the world around you. If that happens in the childhood, I'm sure you are going to make a large difference in your learning ability. And that happens only when you are exposed to such situations. You are given that facility in which you can grow yourself. So most of the time, the background in which the people have been brought, and what is the real cause? Is it a biological cause, or is it what is added after the birth? The integration of the sensory inputs which comes into my manas, the software, where is the bug? Where is the malpractice? Where is the dysfunctioning happening? It needs to be understood. The sensory signals are not getting organized in the appropriate way to give a response. That is why we call this problem as ADHD or SPD, or I call it as SID, sensory integration dysfunction. And this happens most of the people in this world. Maybe the rate may be little less. If it is extra 70% and more, we call them as diseased. But most of the people who are listening to lectures also, they are not able to understand the whole thing. They don't have the ability to take note and write note. They are not able to write exam and get 100% soon after the speech. Are they able to capture all the points and what is it happening? Why are they not able to respond? Why are not able to ask questions? Why are not they able to get to the gist? I'm sure after this program, some of the FT people, I was also part of the director of academic staff college who were giving training. So I used to do one beautiful thing. It was 18 days program. The first day program is over. Second day morning, random, one of the participants, we used to have 40 participants. Here I'm seeing only 24. So, and most of them are organizers. So what happens is I will call those people and ask them to present what you learned in the classroom. In the previous day, whatever you heard, make specific notes. And once the notes are made and presentations are made, that becomes a report of the programs. So I strictly make my active participants to become very vigilant so that they capture all the points. I see most of the time, most of the people miss the points. Why is it happening? That's also one of the problem. Their integration, sensory integration is dysfunctioning. And this creates a lot of gap in the skill development. The occupational therapies are required later. As a psychotherapist, most of the problems which comes to me are lack of concentration. Why lack of concentration? Because you don't have interest. You don't have passion. And if you cannot show that, you cannot respond, reflect. Shankaracharya says, Manam Darpana Samanam. Mana Darpana Samanam. The mind is like a mirror. The manas is like a mirror. So you must be able to make reflections when it is in front of you. Instead of that, what people do, they think about something else. They don't connect to the activity happening. This is also malpractice. The software is not perfectly taking the inputs to process it perfectly. It is not a brain problem. Most of the psychologists in the West consider this as a brain problem. The sensory coordination is not accepted by the American psychologists forum because they believe that there is nothing called a software which can process these inputs. So if you look at the central nervous system, believe that's a biological problem. The sensor, the sensory motor, the perceptual motor, and the cognition. Or maybe the intellect, the development which happens in the whole system. These coordination is what is missing. Either to take it as biological or in the feelings and processing systems. So what are the causes for this? We can find it is inherited. Maybe sometimes your parents don't have that. But that doesn't mean you cannot develop it in your life. The birth complications anyway will be there. But the manufacturing defects, you cannot do it, but maintenance can make it better. Most involved is the environmental factors. So how do you take care of your environment? How do you make your education system? I'm sure we are talking in the system of educators, the role of educators, the role of teachers. So what is required? You need to create such a system where maximum interaction can be there. And that interaction doesn't happen. The peer groups interaction doesn't happen. You are not a social being. You are not a human being. You don't understand the human to human as a society, and you don't develop yourself with the society. You don't discuss with the people. I hardly see people come back to the resource person with a question. I don't know whether Dr. GPS is one of the worst. But I am getting it from the other part of the world. But some regions have got this problem. Some local people have got this problem. That needs to be rectified. And that is the first responsibility as a teacher. If you cannot do that, the symptoms will remain. Or maybe you treat the symptoms and then give them certificate, and those people who don't become teachers, and how do their classrooms will be? They don't expect their students also to have this. So it's like a problem which is transferred from generations to generations. The oral motor has to work. The problems have to be spelled out. Clarifications have to be obtained. That is the best benefit which any student can achieve. So this needs a great push. Otherwise, what happens is the initiative what is being taken by university and the colleges. Conducting such programs is not percolated in the participants. We need to make that as a part of the issue is understood and understand there is a change which we require to get into the participants' mood and the face. If this can be obtained, I'm sure the teachers understand there is a balance which is required in your sight, in your hearing, in your smell, in your touch, in the taste, and with which you interact with the society. We find there are problems. The sensory modulation disorder can be there, the motor disorder can be there, the discrimination disorder can be there. There can be confusions, and that confusions create confusions in your brain in interpreting and matching with the earlier knowledge which you have, which makes you to reflect in the nice time. How do you get to this? Only through interactions. And this is what I have to give as an introduction. I know this is not sufficient for me to tell you what exactly. And more than that, what is required is there is a the compulsion within you which creates an impulse for your senses to seek knowledge. See, I have seen a beautiful scene. Oh, I must feel that I must see it again. So I heard some music. I must feel that I must hear it again. That impulsion should come from inside. And that happens abruptly, without your notice. And that catches your attention. Therefore, you have a basic behavior pattern which is kept. Sometimes the hyperactivity is because he has been attached to something, but the parents pull them from there. So they get annoyed. They start reacting very fast. So what is required, you must give them time and understand the child. Definitely for the children, this is what happens. What is being sought by the sensory organs? He is given a sufficient time to get attracted, get attached to that. Otherwise, the reactions becomes an explodable reaction which you cannot have any predictions. So most of the time, the distractibility ability, switching from what is concentrated to what is a new activity, whether it can be a visual, audio, all that can create you a hypersensitivity. And that hypersensitivity need to be controlled. Distraction is also one of the most essential portion which is required. Because people come from the home, when you sit in the classroom, they are not able to get distracted. That is what Bhagavad Gita calls it as detachment or maybe unboundedness. They got bounded by the situations in which they are there, so they are not able to perform the actions. So the whole Bhagavad Gita can be used as a basic reference to perform this problem. That is what happened to Arjuna also. Karpanya dosho bhatasvabhava. I am got confused. I am not able to decide what is to be done. That is what the problem is. For most of the people, that's a problem. You have a desire, but your environment is not. See here, if 10 people who joined with a video, the 11th fellow will automatically join with a video. But you see, all the 10 people who joined in the beginning switch off the video. The 11th person feels that this is the practice what is happening here. So this is a system which is to be developed. Fixing that situation is what gives the environment for people to develop from what they are. They don't neglect. They don't feel neglected. They become partnership with this. And that is what is essential, and that makes people to get into the situation. There are different methods of treatment. That can be home, that can be school, that can be playground, that can be environment, that can be peer groups. It can be private therapy. I get a lot of situations in which people need a private discussion with them. And then you need a group therapy. All this. And medications could be the last resort which people have to get into. But what happens when you go to the modern system, the medication is what is started, and that is where their sensory organs doesn't reflect because they are made to get tuned with the system, and no change is not warranted. I can go on and on, but I don't think that is nice on my part to talk to screens without responses. So if this FTP or any FTP in this world has to work, I think people have to respond. So I wish there are at least a few questions or maybe a few responses. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me to become part of this program. I must thank always the most active sister who is go on trying and then seeing that what Dr. TPS can say. But I don't make any differences, I think, because the differences will come only when people are reactive to the situations. So thank you, Dr. Tripta, for this nice opportunity given to me. You are muted, Tripta. You are muted.
Hello.
Yeah.
Actually, most of the colleges
मैम दा बंद हो गया
Ma'am, your voice is not audible.
hello am I audible now
I think you logged on from two systems, so it is creating echo. Otherwise, you are
just
audible.
let me sort out the problem sir just please
Yeah.
I request the participants if anyone is having any query
They will not have. I have not seen from Punjab any queries.
as the sir Dr. TPS has talked about ADHD children and we are teaching this topic to the MAD students so you must be having problems regarding the topic as most of the teachers have joined, please come up with your questions, unmute your and raise your question, please. Okay, sir. My question is so what is the symptoms in for the early detection of the problem ADHD? Attention deficit hyperactive child, what are the symptoms of for the early detection because we think that the early the detection the early we can find the solution of the problem.
See, I told you by birth the eyes are not functional.
Okay.
So it takes 7 days to 18 days. Maybe some people can have early also. So that is why you can see them glaring with the full eye open, but actually there is no processing happening for the children as they took birth in the earliest days in the babyhood. So it takes some time. So how do you look at, are the children getting their eyes tilted here and there? And are they looking at where the light is there, light is not there? When people are moving, are they changing their ears? And you can see in some traditional programs we have, as the children are taken birth, people make loud noise to check whether the ear is. Actually, the children don't have the ability to hear as they take birth. It takes few days. I told you, as the ear and eyes and the nose, next one. Can you imagine what is the smell inside the womb, and as they come out, what could be the horrible smell of the blood? If the function is very active for the nose smell, then your sensory organ itself will become dysfunctional immediately. So it takes few days. So naturally, so what can be done is we have to look at the child very carefully. That is why the young child can be given with the hottest of the hot water. Adults, we cannot take bath in such a hot water. The whole body will become reddish. That is how they give bath in the childhood. I have seen my mother giving bath to the great grandchildren for series of, I must have, in my house there would have been 30, 40 children growing. And the water with which the children are given bath, if I just touch my finger, I will feel it hot. But children have that ability because skin is not reactive to that situation with that temperature. You can imagine if that is not the situation inside the womb, just outside the world, the temperature difference is so much, it would have been a shock. So it takes few days to develop. So there are different methodology. And as they become the early childhood, how do we look at it? The counting and the words which they can use. Are they growing with the normal age for calling the first word? Probably every child would have spelt in this word is amma, ma. That is because the mother keeps on making them to speak ma. So the mouth and the way you pronounce have to be seen by the child. So that seeing is what is important. Suppose the child is not able to see. What is to be done? Keep the hand in their mouth and then show that your mouth is opened like this to spell that. Right? That is how blind people are given training. You can see a beautiful movie where Amitabh Bachchan is shooted in the black, in which how a blind child is being trained for making it happen. Right? So it depends on which sensory organ is not active and what is the remedy to be taken care of in the childhood. So as slowly they grow, may not be, if they have a deaf and dumb problem, definitely deaf people are dumb and dumb people are deaf. That is what happens. But there can be deaf people where they are able to speak. How are they able to speak? Because they are able to see the mouth's movements, though they are not able to hear. So they relate to that. So one of my eldest half brother was a defender, but I have seen we are able to communicate to him very easily through gestures. So I'm sure there are methodologies in which you can, and we don't call them as handicaps. We don't call them as problematic people. We call them as specially abled people, right? That means if the eyes are not working, yesterday somebody was asking on how to comment on the international economic problems in the world. I have suggested one of my son's classmate who is totally blind, but he is now an economist who can comment on the world economy. He is not deprived of any knowledge around him. He is able to get the whole knowledge around the world. Right? Today, it is very simple. You have got a special equipments where you can equip yourself to understand the whole world, even though some of the sensory organs are not working. But if you have not been taken care of that problem and put into the coherence, put into harmony with which you are going to work with, and you think that that is one of the biggest problem you have, you will not develop your knowledge. Otherwise, these problems are not anywhere restricting your expansion of knowledge and dealing with the world. This is what I wanted to tell.
So one lies with the parental acceptance. Mostly what happens when you come to know that such a special child is in the family. First of all, it's very difficult for a parent to accept that phenomena. And we have observed that sometimes parents themselves go into depression and they themselves need treatment. And what should be done in that situation, being a teacher?
Yeah, that is why what we need is generally the special children are not put in the normal classrooms because they themselves feel they are out of place, number one. The other students and the peer groups and the teachers may not know how to deal with such a case, and therefore they may become more reactive than what is essentially required. So that is why we need special schools for and special trained people for taking care of them. And most of such schools are always not only taking care of their children, they give a beautiful counseling for their parents also. I am staying in Hyderabad in a very special place where Department of Space Quarters is where I'm staying. The compound wall of Department of Space compound wall shares with the NIMH. Now recently it is renamed. Earlier it was called the National Institute of Mentally Handicapped People.
Okay.
So I share the compound wall between them. So we see the most of the time, lot of teachers, lot of parents, all of them are getting trained there. So this is essential. We need to have a special, at least counseling center. We need to have get together and sharing of experience between parents. That is most essential. See, they have to find people who also have similar problems and then say, my son is doing it. Why can't you try this method? Because there is no single solution for all the problems in the world. Because they're all special cases. And every special case needs to be addressed by the specialists looking at that special case as one and only one available in the world. So what is to be done? You need to have a lot of patience, share with that what experience somebody has with the other person, and then that sharing will become the most knowledgeable repositories. That is what is required. We need a good documentation on this, but parents need to talk to each other. We need to have satsang. Make them to sit together to discuss with a counseling person along with them. That is what is essential. Yeah.
Right, sir. Right, sir. Anyone having any query?
I'm so glad at least 3 more faces. Gurpreet Kaur, okay, used to be there in most of the programs.
I said this is other Gurpreet Kaur.
Oh,
Many
okay.
Gurpreet Kaurs.
Okay.
She is another
Very common
Gurpreet
name.
Kaur.
Common name in Punjab. Yeah.
Yeah, Amandeep and Gurpreet.
I'm able to see Geeta. I'm able to see. I'm glad at least the faces are seen, right?
Thank you so much, sir, for being
Thank you.
with us. Now for the vote of thanks, over to Dr. Rakhi.
Thank you. Thank you, Sushila.
Thank you, sir, for such an elaborate celebration. We get a lot of information regarding ADHD children, their problems, symptoms, and identification, and the role of parents and teachers in identifying and supporting those children from the very beginning. And to meet the theme of our activity that we have included in it, so that diversity and inclusion. Thank you very much, sir. I, on behalf of the management, faculty, principals of the institution, in collaboration, and the college, thank you for sharing such valuable time. Sir, words and always to do, and as it is a very thanks again for such beautiful deliberations, sir. Now, I will request Dr. Tripta Parmar, Principal SGS College of Education for Women, Lopo, for the next proceeding and to welcome our resource person, Dr. Sushila Naramji. Over to you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Rakhi. Now, I again take it my kind privilege to invite, welcome, and introduce our second resource person, Dr. Sushila Narang, Principal Canby College of Education, Abohar. She is member, International Professional Development Association, UK, member of All India Association for Educational Research, member of the Indian Science Congress Association, Chandigarh, member of Indian School Psychology Association, member of Principals Association of Colleges of Education, member of All India Council of Principals, educational advisor of Bentley Bihari Group of Colleges, Abohar, Director, Sion College, Abohar, affiliated to Punjab University, Chandigarh, member Board of Studies in Education, Punjab University, Chandigarh. From 2010 onwards, member Academic Council, Punjab University, Chandigarh, from Feb 2012 to Feb 2014 and Feb 2014 to Feb 2016 and from Feb 2016 to Feb 2018. Added member, Faculty of Education, Punjab University, Chandigarh, subject expert in selection of assistant professors in Punjab University, Chandigarh, member of inspection committees, for granting extensions of affiliation to colleges of education, Punjab University, Chandigarh, member flying squad in annual or semester examination of Punjab University and other universities, chief coordinator for conduct of skill in teaching and field-based experience, Viva Boss of B.Ed and M.Ed respectively, paper setter for other universities, external examiner for examination of Viva Boss of M.Ed dissertation, visiting team member of NRC and CTE Jaipur, New Delhi, acted as a session coordinator in various national seminars, running NGO to meet for upliftment of weaker sections of society. She is having teaching experience from 1999 to the session 2009 and as lecturer. She is having teaching experience from 2009 to 2011 as reader, from 2011 till date as principal of Cambridge College of Education abroad. She is having research experience as her two students have been awarded PhD degree and 9 PhD students are working under her supervision from Punjab University, Chandigarh. She is having more than 88 research publications in national and international journals, more than 54 publications in national and international seminars, conferences, and workshops. She is also on the editorial board, member of editorial board of biannual national and international journal, Educational Spectrum, Sion Journal of Educational Research, Cultural Society and Law, JRD International Journal of Education. She is having approximately 20 books as author to her credit. She has been awarded with various awards of excellence, appreciation, best citizen, and educationist award by Har Prasad Institute of Behavioral Studies, Agra, New Delhi, award of excellence by Indus Foundation, New Jersey, USA. She has given more than 50 talks and delivered so many expert lectures in conferences of national and international level. I request Dr. Sushila to deliver her address as a resource person of the session. Over to Dr. Sushila.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Such a nice and elaborative and kind introduction. Today I would be talking on NAP 2020 reflection on direction for inclusion of persons with disability in higher education. As we know that NEP or in 2020, there are many roadmaps that has been given to the higher education. As we know that inclusion is the buzzword, and inclusive education is one in which teachers and students work together to create and sustain an environment in which everyone feels safe, supported, and encouraged to express views and concern. And participation in higher education by disabled students is an issue of equal opportunities and of empowerment. And this is important in fulfilling one of the 4 pillars of learning given by UNESCO, that is learning to live together. And that has been suggested by in UGC regulations 2009 that all central and state universities create Department of Disability Studies, but there are few universities in India where such department exists. There is also a mandate as per RT Act that, and despite a wider awareness, more interest in their wider access, enactment of Act situation is very slow to improve in India. But of course, after launch of National Education Policy 2020, one hopes that the challenges and concern of inclusion of persons with disability in higher education will be addressed now. There is a significant mention of equity and inclusion and various measures to be taken by higher education institution in the policy. And there are a few aspects that has been called out from the policy for preparation of roadmap with timelines for inclusion of the disabled in higher education. I would mention that in National Education Policy, that is section 14.4.2, that is point C, that says that conduct outreach on higher education opportunities and scholarship, which means that it may do well to survey those persons who are desirous of higher education and are left behind but are capable of pursuing it. And the approach to be used could be information led by anyone in website, physical surveys in close by areas, prior announcement in media, provision for residential facilities, scholarships, and other routine facilities will, encourage persons with disabilities and to seek admission in person of higher education institution. And according to NAP, they said that this work is to be done on continuous basis for 6 months or so before admission each year. And in the section 14.42 they say that make admissions process more inclusive, which means that like providing special financial incentives to the students, make and disseminate by disseminating the different information regarding the inclusive education, and by increasing the intake of students in existing institution and opening new quality institutions. And of course, the pressure faced by the disabled ordinary are related to time, work, quantity, and quality, tasks of the class, school cohesion, faculty support, self-maintenance, and access and use of facilities. If and when these pressures are minimized, they will be attracted to seek admission. And in the point E, they say they make curriculum more inclusive. Means there should be no bar on availing choice credit system facilities for the disabled. Wide range of courses, including professional and vocational courses, befitting the current needs of the person with disabilities should be available to choose from. And the evaluation is deeply related to the curriculum transaction. Methods of evaluating should be suited to their efficiencies, and let them type if they can't write, let them appear for Viva if they can't write or type. And they may type in Braille, get them to read it later on, transcribe. It ignores spellings if subject permits. Exam test format can change for them to objective type. Snap test can be replaced with oral exams. Assignments may be allotted more time. Write may be arranged, or the visually impaired, writing disabled, cerebral palsies, and neurological impaired. Calculators with 4 basic operations may be allowed, and exit criteria must be same for persons with disabilities for regular students to maintain respect for them. And in section 14.42.8 that says that ensure all buildings are wheelchair accessible and disable friendly. And considering infrastructure in the education institution, firstly we look at building related matters for efficient mobility, and for access of to buildings with the help of ramps for the person on crutches and wheelchairs, low wash basins, low wall hung urinals, and large run around areas in bathroom, western commodes with auto wash facilities, and non-slippery staircases, etc. They are required for physically impaired. And differentiated flooring for the visually impaired, and furniture modification for physically disabled to facilitate keeping of crutches, and to enable inclusion of wheelchair in a group on table, and barrier-free movement of scooters to each sections of organization will help, and unnecessary obstruction in pathway and walkways must be removed. And for anything desired for challenged adults work well for regular adults without any challenges also. And for old buildings, all changes may not be easily possible, but provisions must be made by challenging by laws. Dreams of heritage status can't be fulfilled at the cost of holding facilities for the needy. Out of box thinking is required to build ramps in the old buildings. A duration, as it has been observed, that a duration of 3 years seems to be reasonable for creating changes in the building and furniture in old universities. And new universities and other higher education institutions can incorporate infrastructure additions in their plans in beginning itself, and no building should be cleared if it is not disabled friendly. And in point, next point is to develop bridge courses for students that come from disadvantaged backgrounds. which means that a person with disability of any category has a high chances of having a background which is disadvantaged. In case the course is to be conducted in English language, for example, and the student is not proficient in language, then a bridge course in English language should be organized to help him or her learn the language. Similarly, a month or so long bridge course in knowledge areas like skill area for any future courses that is person with disability is intending to join and found to be deficient in should be conducted. An orientation course can be longer. So for a person with disability, or you can say that month of 30 or 35 days long bridge course should do so. And in section 14.42.j, it provides socio-economical and academic support and mentoring. And the need for the three above that we have discussed, mentioned sports to the disabled, can never be overestimated. You know, knowing how of their long various assignments, reaching various venues, meeting challenges of various changes, relationship with peers, teachers, and other staff is far important. So mentors should be associated with each person with disability for their emotional well-being and relationship. It is a question of professional approach and empathy and not sympathy, equity and quality. You know, one can lift someone only when one is on a higher platform. So in the section strictly section 14.42.l that says that strictly enforce all discrimination and anti-harassment rules. You know, get rules with the teeth passed in the situation rules which are enforceable against all sorts of discrimination of the disabled and their harassment. In fact, in atmosphere of preference for them should prevail. The lesson with disability should be able to enjoy their stay in the institute. Laws and conduct rules should be framed to prevent anyone, from passing any derogatory remarks towards person with disabilities. And it is desired that no favoritism or discrimination in sharing information is there. So in general, we can say that in an organization need not wait for equipping itself completely before including person with disabilities. Both recruitment and we can say recruitment and preparation can go side by side, and preparation can never be completed and final. It is an ongoing process, and we can say that ongoing process, and for reasonable preparation, a window of 3 years seems to be decent. And above all preparation, it is the change in human mindset and attitude to respect and not derogate any student, which is important. Emotional well-being is possible only possible only with change in attitude of those with whom the person with disabilities are going to spend time and live with. If these does not occur, all preparation will be fruitless. So I would like to say that and national education policy has been a very this is to the extending the logic of 4 factors, balancing, to higher education, that person with disability should be kept out only if she does not benefit in class academically or non-academic terms, and if the rest of the students are adversely affected, the costs are too high to maintain the public funding for the rest. And the person with disability pay the fees for their education. They also pay taxes as others do. Hence, they have a right to get education where others do. So, also a question of inclusion of disabled in higher education arises only when they have completed school education. So, not all categories of this person with disability mentioned in RPW Act in 2016 may be able to attain full school education, namely severely intellectually challenged, deaf, blind, cerebral palsy with intellectual disability, and autism, those with multiple and severe disabilities besides some others, and also there. And
मैम आपका माइक ऑफ हो गया.
हेलो सुशीला मैम, अनम्यूट करो. हेलो, सुशीला मैम आपका माइक म्यूट हो गया है।
So we can say that NANIP 2020 is largely a big progressive document, and with a firm grasp on the current socioeconomic landscape and prospect to meet future challenges if implemented properly, then it has got everything to make India a global hub in education by 2030. Thank you so much. This was all about the guidelines of NEP 2020 that I have briefed out over here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. Uh, any participant who wants to raise any query? In the meantime, I just want to make some observation, ma'am. As you have mentioned about the grants and guidelines and policies, what provisions are there for the differently able children? All of us know that there are so many grants, guidelines, and policies, but still the conditions for such people are far from satisfaction. As there is one observation that in Punjab, with Ayushman card, one can have treatment up to 5 lakh rupees. A person with no disability can have treatment up to 5 lakhs. But when this card comes to some special child or differently able person, then there is limited of 1 lakh, only 1 lakh. I got this information from the president of Darpan School of Special Children. She will be with us on the second last day of this FDB to share her real life or on the ground experiences. There are so many other disparities also that the people with different abilities have to face. Anyone having any query? As this program is attended by so many teachers, and these teachers teach MAT classes, B.Ed classes, and special education chapters are compulsory in their syllabi. So I hope that you can be interactive because we are having a good base in the topic of the FDP. Fine, then I just hand over the stage to Dr. Raki for the further proceedings for the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Sushila ma'am. You very nicely deliberated on the theme and discussed about various articles and sections that meant for the disabled and for providing equal opportunities to all those disabled persons, and also highlighted National Education Policy 2020 that focused on the inclusion or the inclusive education for these people who are being deprived from the opportunities that are being gained by the normal children or students. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for such beautiful declaration. Now, I, on behalf of management, principal, and faculty of Host College, and all the institutions, those are in collaboration. Thanks to the chief guest of the event, Professor Rajkumar VC, Vice Chancellor, Punjab University, Chandigarh, Professor Anju Suri, Dean, College Development Council, Punjab University, Chandigarh, Professor J.P. Pachari, Vice Chancellor, Himalaya University, Dehradun, Dr. T.P. Sasi Kumarji, Dr. Sushila Narang, Dr. Sarabjit Kaur for their valuable time and words that they have shared on this theme. Now, I will request all the persons to stand up for national anthem. Thank you all who are present on this platform and are joining us. Thanks for your valuable time. Next, we will see you tomorrow at the same time.
Thank you, ma'am.